Floyd Mayweather is on an absolute real estate buying spree. I'm honestly having kind of a hard time keeping up with all this. Just listen to some of these headlines. All of these were posted just in the last 8 days alone. Floyd Mayweather lands $402 million deal to buy over 60 buildings in New York City. Mayweather puts $100 million in $3 billion JV. Mayweather buying a stake in former Versace Mansion in Miami Beach. I knew this guy was rich, and it's no secret that he's been doing some big real estate deals lately, but he's absolutely on a roll right now. Different sources give different numbers, but Floyd's net worth is estimated to be as high as $1.5 billion, which makes him one of the wealthiest athletes in the world. Because of that, he's owned massive mansions in Las Vegas, Beverly Hills, and Miami over the years. A couple months back, we talked about Floyd's $50 million LA home that he recently listed for sale. Plus, in that video, we dove into reports that he was claiming at the time that he owned 9 skyscrapers. Today, though, let's dive into some of these more recent headlines. We'll look at them together one at a time in the order that they came out, and let's just try to kind of get to the bottom of why Floyd Mayweather is sinking so much of his net worth into commercial real estate. This all started with the announcement that Floyd was buying a $402 million multifamily portfolio called the Black Spruce portfolio. A source revealed to The Real Deal that he went into contract to pay $402 million for a 1,000 unit affordable housing portfolio of more than 60 buildings. These buildings are concentrated in the upper Manhattan area, and this deal would make for one of the city's biggest multifamily deals of the year. Anyways, we know Floyd is big on putting his money into commercial real estate deals, but a 1,000 unit multifamily portfolio is a massive buy, even for a guy like him. The question is, why would he, or anybody for that matter, be interested in buying all of these affordable housing units all at once? Well, for one, some of this portfolio is reported to offer a tax exemption due to the fact that the majority of the units are designated as affordable housing. For two, Mayweather shared that this deal holds some emotional significance for him and his family. He did grow up with a family of 7 crammed into a 1-bedroom apartment in New Jersey. So I suppose the idea of owning a bunch of affordable housing units in New York is one way for Floyd to feel like he's kind of giving back to the community. If I had to guess, Floyd probably put up somewhere around $100 million of his own cash into this deal, which means he financed the remaining $300 million. With where interest rates are at nowadays, though, I'm thinking he's probably only making like 10% on his money at best, which means that he's going to be bringing somewhere in the neighborhood of $10 million per year in total cash flow. Almost immediately after doing this Black Spruce multifamily deal, Floyd invested another huge chunk of money, but this time into an office deal in New York. On this deal, he didn't just buy a bunch of buildings outright, he bought into the office landlord 601's largest portfolio, which is a $10 billion collection of 18 buildings comprising of over 10 million square feet. A source told The Real Deal that they wouldn't disclose the exact amount invested, but this investment would make for Mayweather's most significant investment to date. In case any of you guys are curious, here's 601's website. They say they have 25 years acquiring the country's most well-known commercial properties with this formula for success. And check out the portfolio section of their webpage. So Floyd is not going to be buying into every single one of these skyscrapers, but he's going to be buying into a chunk of them. It's a combination, from what I understand, of some of the buildings in New York and then some other buildings in Chicago. I'm just going to put it out there and say that investing in office space could be the worst financial decision that Mayweather has ever made, or it's possible that this could be one of the best decisions he's ever made. I mean, the office market as a whole has been absolutely crushed since COVID, with many companies either downsizing, going out of business, or shifting to more of a work from home model. Some developers initially dreamed of turning these old empty office buildings into apartments, but we have since learned that that is much easier said than done. The biggest issue is that office buildings were built to be office buildings. They weren't necessarily built or designed to ever be apartments. Like if you picture this old Jenga tower here to be an office building in New York City, all of the surrounding units in this building are going to have windows, which do make for good apartments, but basically all of the interior space in this building is going to be not usable because you're not going to put an apartment in the center of the building with no windows. So now a lot of these landlords are stuck with buildings where they can't put new office tenants in there because there's no demand. They can't convert them to apartments because the building's just not set up for that. So they're kind of just stuck. Anyways, it sounds like Floyd's investment in the 601 portfolio is more of a passive investment for him. I highly doubt he's going to be making any major day-to-day business decisions on this portfolio that he's now invested in. Of course, none of these articles are sharing what Floyd's return on investment is going to be here, but I'll just throw my guess out there for fun. I don't think it's going to be anywhere close to the 18% that 601 was claiming on their website. I think his return is going to look a little bit more like if he were to put his money into a REIT. Like for a simple example, if we look at Realty Income Corp, this is one of the most popular REITs around. They hold over 15,000 commercial properties in their portfolio, spread out over 90 different industries, and these guys pay a monthly dividend of about 5.5% if you invest your money with them. I'm sure 601 is giving Floyd a better return on his investment than Realty Income would give you or I, but it's generally the same concept as what I'm thinking, which means that if you put $100 million into this fund, he's probably making something like $600,000 per month on his investment. Next story. This one is definitely a change of pace. Floyd has now decided to invest a chunk of his money in the famous Versace Mansion in Miami Beach. This one is very different than the last couple deals we talked about. This property is located at 1116 Ocean Drive. It's known as Villa Casa Casuarina. And the 1930s home features over 23,000 square feet of living space spread out over 3 stories. This place was originally built just as a house for a guy named Alden Freeman, who was an heir to an oil fortune. Then it was later converted into a 24-unit apartment building that was named the Amsterdam Palace. Fast forward to 1992, though, this is when Gianni Versace buys the house for just $2.95 million before he returns the house to a private home. He created 8 bedrooms, 2 kitchens, 3 sitting rooms, 10 bathrooms, a bar, a library, and 4 living rooms. Sounds like a pretty good house to me, but oh my gosh, you guys, this story took a very dark turn that I was not expecting. On July 15th, 1997, Versace was fatally shot in front of the house by a serial killer named Andrew Cunanan. Since Versace's passing, the home has traded hands a few more times. It sold in 2000 for $19 million, then in 2013 for $41.5 million. And it was during this window of time that the home was converted into a luxury hotel with 10 hotel suites. The Zillow photos are awful. Remember, this place last sold over 10 years ago, so the photos are really fuzzy, but let's just check them out to kind of get a lay of the land. Here's what it looks like from the street. I hate to say it because I know this is a historic house, but I really don't like this place so far. As soon as you get into the courtyard, though, it is absolutely beautiful with this water feature and then this backdrop with all this intricate tile work. And you also get a ton of that tile work on the floor throughout this courtyard. There's some stone arches that take you to another section of the house/hotel. Inside, the finishes and the furnishings definitely give you that feeling of a home that's 100 years old. It's actually kind of surprising that this was ever built as a house for like a single person. Here's one of the bedrooms though. Oh my gosh, could you imagine staying here? Here's one of the bathrooms. It's hard telling, but I think this is one of the bars. Another bedroom and another bedroom. Another one of the common areas. This looks like an office. And here's the view you get from the restaurant. The Versace Mansion is actually pretty famous nowadays too. It's got its own Instagram that features a bunch of photos of the interior spaces that are much better than the ones that we just looked at. Plus, there's also a bunch of photos of random people posing all around the property. So now that we know a little bit more about the Versace Mansion, what I'm still trying to figure out is why the heck did Floyd Mayweather want to buy a piece of this place? Well, apparently he's partnering with the current owners, the Nikesh family, and someone else named Eli Gindi to acquire a large stake in the home. He's taken the majority of Gindi's interest for an undisclosed price. And all Floyd had to say about this deal is that he feels blessed to be a part of such an important piece of real estate. Since we have basically no context on his motives here, I'm just gonna do my best to put my spin on why he probably made this move. First, this home will probably spit off some cash flow for him because it is functioning like a hotel at this point. So he's kind of buying into a hotel with this one. Plus, the fact that it's the Versace Mansion tells us that it will probably continue to appreciate pretty good over time. Second, this is just one of those trophy properties. Like, this is the type of house that you buy to have in your portfolio just because it makes you feel good and it gives you kind of something to brag about. And last, I don't really know anything about fashion, obviously, but Floyd wears a lot of fancy clothes. Some of those clothes are probably Versace clothes. So I'm thinking he's probably just genuinely a fan of Versace, which is yet another reason why he wants to own the home that Versace used to live in. I'm honestly a little bit exhausted just talking about all this. I can't imagine how Floyd feels actually spending all this money. His last and most recent deal is he put $100 million into a $3 billion joint venture with a company called Go Partners. The long story short here is that Floyd put up this money to actually buy a piece of a luxury rental portfolio. And oddly enough, there are some connections to these stories because this Go Partners group is partially owned by this guy named Josh. Josh is the same guy who sold Floyd all of those affordable housing units in Manhattan. Anyways, Floyd has created his own joint venture with Go, which they are calling Veda Properties, and he's already wired him $20 million for the first closing, with another $80 million, which will be sent over in a couple of months. And the way I read it is that Veda Companies is going to be taking partial ownership in all of these skyscrapers that you see listed on Go Partners' website. Go Partners bought all these places for a combined total of $2.5 billion over the course of the last 3 years or so. Floyd's comments on this move are that these investors are some of the smartest investors he has ever met, and he's thrilled to be their partner on these trophy assets. This is a lot to take in, and on the surface, it kind of feels like Floyd is irresponsibly spending out of control. I mean, even for a guy who's worth as much as he is, it's still kind of crazy to spend a couple $100 million in a couple of weeks. The good news for Floyd, though, is that it does appear that he's partnering with some really skilled investors and developers in the city. Plus, it seems like he's buying a mix of distressed assets and luxury assets, so his portfolio at this point is going to be pretty diversified. Best of luck to Floyd on all these new business ventures, and hey, if he decides to actually move forward with fighting Jake Paul, then he'll probably be able to go on another big real estate spending spree sometime soon. I hope you enjoy the video. I'll see you guys next week.